Does anybody know what data wrangling is? Does anybody know what data wrangling is? It's kind of like a newish term, and it's like kind of essentially means like cleaning your data, getting it ready to be able to like be analyzed. Because like the other way of saying it is like manipulate your data, which kind of sounds kind of not too good, right? Like, oh yeah, I was just manipulating my data. I wonder. I don't know this for how true this is, but I wonder if it might have been due to the fact that like during like the climate gate, the email scandals or whatever, and like scientists talking about like manipulating their data, but like it's what you do, right? Like it's not manipulation a bad thing. You're just like transforming it and all that stuff. So I wonder if because of that, then they're like, oh, let's change the name to instead of manipulate, let's change it to like something that doesn't sound so bad.
And people don't really know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So data wrangling is just manipulating, transforming, selecting, getting it into like a way that you can actually analyze it. Now, I'm making an assumption that the data that you have already is kind of in a clean format. So I'll like one of the sessions I will do is I'll make the assumption that you don't have clean data in the beginning, and then I'll go through like how to actually clean your data and then get it into a format that you can then wrangle it more. But like, I know some of you do like a lot of data type work, but like for me, the wrangling part of my work takes up probably 50, 60, 70% of my time. So it's a big portion of the time is doing the whole wrangling, and then the analysis comes along, and then that's like really short. But like it's the getting it into that format that you can actually then analyze. So if you open up RStudio, and if everybody remembers, has everybody made the project from last time? Yes? No? So I know some of you are new, so I'll just do this again. So if you do File, New Project, and then when you click the new project, click New Directory, and then you can do Empty Project. If you have it right away at the desktop, just leave it at the desktop, and then just call it, I think I already have one, but you can just call it like plain or something. I think I already have one that's called plain. So I'll just cancel, but then you just click OK. And so let me just see, I can't remember if code along. So I called it code along. Oh wait, did I call it code along? No, sorry guys. Desktop, code along. Yes, I did call it code along. So if you make this project, who's made this project already? Yes, okay. Yeah. Did you make a project? Just now? Did you make a project?
So we're calling it plain?
Plain, yeah. Whatever you want.
And then my desktop is like addressed with that. Is that fine?
Yep, yeah, that's fine. So then you just click create project. So the main advantage of like having a project is, one, you see at the top here that it says console desktop code along. In my case, it's code along, and everybody else's it'll be slightly different. That's saying that everything is done in that. So all the analysis is done in that folder. So like it's a good way of like modularizing your code and your data analysis, because like if you have files all over the place, it just gets messy so fast. It really is not. It's not conducive to being productive, to being like not stressed, which is pretty important for me. I like to be not stressed. Another nice thing is that then all of your files can be contained within that folder, and then you can work on them. So like, just as an example, like I have all these projects, so promise projects, abstracts, and so on. So you can like quickly go into those and all the folders, and it's essentially just moving into that new folder. Okay, so I want you to create a new file. Oops, new file. I want you to create the R Markdown. I know some people are familiar with the R Markdown. Who else has dealt with R Markdown before? I know I kind of talked with you two, and I might have mentioned it before with you. Maybe. No, it's okay. That was a while ago. So this is it's a nice way of, so if you open it up, if you just call it wrangling your data, and then just keep your author name, and then just keep HTML. Oh, some people might have to install stuff, so I'll wait. But our Markdown is, so for those that went to my seminar, those slides were created using our Markdown. So it just makes it so you can be able to put in snippets of code, and then when you run the file, like tell R to run on the file, it automatically inserts the figures into your whatever you're making. So it's really nice because then like this is great for like if you're writing a manuscript and then you submit to a journal and then they get back to you with reviews or comments saying like, oh, maybe you should like cut this out or cut that out. Why don't you subset the data this way or whatever? It's very easy to then just subset the data at the very beginning and then run the code again, and it just puts in the figures right away without having to do any copy and pasting. So I've been consistently kind of using this format just because I think it's a great way for people to see how R can help simplify your workflow.
But if you move your file to another computer, don't change.
Nope. So that's the nice thing is about, because our Markdown is, it's just text. Like a Word document is like on the computer, it's a series of formatting, and it's not just text. Our Markdown file, our Markdown is just text. So the computer, an A is just an A. But then in a Word document, an A is actually an A with like all the other formatting that makes it like have the font, have the bold, whatever. So like I could give you my file, my Markdown file, and it looks exactly the same thing. It doesn't change. Okay, so have you done it? So file, so you go to file. Let's cancel. So file, new file, our Markdown, wrangling your data, and then click OK.
Well, I guess we have to do it again if we had to update something.
Yeah, you might have had to.
Where did you go to that?
So file, new file, our Markdown.
It's asking me again to update.
Let me see. Oh, I think I know what's wrong. This is always the hardest part. Oh, is it cold? Yeah.
I picked the sweater.
No, Chloe, no.
Oh my god, no, just yet. It was too hot.
It was too hot, yeah.
And
And
then sauna. This room is always so itchy. What does it mean if it's red?
it's
Is it a
just,
bad thing?
no, it's just, okay. It should work. So, file, new file, oh, file, new file. There we go.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So then just type in a title and then you're, okay.
What are we calling it?
I think I called it wrangling your data. Okay, I'm just gonna put this to the side. How's that? Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm just trying to say.
Okay, so you'll kind of see a couple of things at the beginning. So I guess first things first is save it. Save the file and call it wrangling.rmd.
Can you save it as an HTML?
Yes. There we go. So call it, like save it, and then call it wrangling.rmd, and then just click save. So now you should see at the top it says wrangling.rmd rather than untitled. There's a couple things up at the top here. These are, it's called the YAML header, and all it does is it just tells you like the title of the document and what you want to convert it to. So in this case, you want to convert it to HTML. Within here, you can insert code chunks. So this backtick, these are all backticks right here. It's not a quotation mark, it's backtick. And that just means anything inside here is our code. I'm gonna you can just delete everything else from top to bottom and keep only what's there right now. If you do hashtag, and then just type section 1. This is a header, and this is a code chunk. So if you want to insert a code chunk, you can do where is it? Code insert chunk, and that'll insert a code chunk.
What's a code chunk?
A code chunk is like,
A chunk of code.
yeah, this is a code chunk right here.
Okay, gotcha.
It's just, it makes it so that you can then insert our code here.
Okay. And so how come yours is the date and stuff on that?
I think just because I have it set up that it automatically puts it in there. Okay, so since we're going over Wrangling, there's 2 packages that are extremely powerful for doing Wrangling, and they are dplyr and tidyr. So if you load those, and it should automatically like set up something. There are, within dplyr, there are essentially, I think 5 or 6 commands. So there's select, there's rename. You can get this online too. Like I'll put the code up, the notes and the code up online after. Rename, mutate, filter, group by, and summarize. So that's for dplyr. Does anybody know the amount of memory that working memory that the brain can hold? How many items? What?
7. Yeah,
7
pretty
plus
good.
or minus 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many items are there here? 6, yeah. So you should be able to remember this. By the end of this thing, you should be able to remember.
Otherwise your brain's not working. Return your brain and get a new one.
Ask for a refund. I need a refund. What?
Because I already know something.
Yeah, okay.
It's a compounder.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So Luke, so what now? Like I got this.
Oh, so now, in order to run the commands, you can do Control Enter. So that runs a line. So if you put the cursor on the
Control Enter.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Control Enter.
Library is empty. Error.
So if you don't have it, if you don't have these things installed, you have to go to Packages, and then click Install, and then Install. So you can just do dplyr and tidyr. Who has it? Sorry, who has it installed already? Hands up.
Okay then.
Okay, 2 people. You don't have. Oh, you have it. Okay.
She's just very modest.
You're like.
I don't want to make her laugh.
Did you install it? Oh, so you just type out dplyr. Plyr. Oh, I guess. And then comma. And then space. And then tidyr. 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 Yeah. And then install.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So dplyr packages. I'll try to show you at the end like some of the stuff that you can do with dplyr, with the dplyr commands. Like if you just take your data and then you use these commands to then eventually put it into like a table or a figure. you can do some really powerful things with it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So first things first is let's get in some data. So we call a new object called ds, and then we call read.csv. I want you to type out http://codeasmanuscript.org/states data.csv. Run that. And then if you type out head.ds, yeah, so head just means the top 6 rows. And there's tail, which means the bottom 6 rows.
I only get that in the console.
In the console? Have you updated RStudio lately? So they recently put out a new version that has like a lot of new features. So I would recommend you install. So you have to go back online. Actually, I think if you go to tools, or sorry, help, and then check for updates, and then it'll tell you, and then I think it gives you a link to installing the new version.
This is how far I got.
Okay, yeah, and then scroll. Oh, so these, sorry, I should have explained that. I didn't explain that. This is just text, and this is code. So you cannot run text commands because they're just text, but these are code commands. That's why you put it inside of a code chunk, because then.
That's different than SAS.
Yes. So if you don't have the latest version of RStudio, you'll see if you run this head ds, that'll send it to the console on the side here, over here. But if you have the latest version of RStudio, it'll add it to this.
So we'll have to update it.
Yeah, you would have to update it. Yeah. I would recommend you update it because it's.
Did you copy that website from somewhere, or you just put it in, type it in?
I just typed it in. It's my website for the manuscript. I put it up so it's easy to access data. Okay, so one of the main features of dplyr is this thing called a pipe. So if you do hashtags, so that means it's a comment. And then I want you to press Control-Shift-M. And that'll give you like this little weird kind of character. What that character does is you could think of a pipe as like literally a pipe for like plumbing. So it takes water from one end and it puts it into another. And depending on the pipe, it might change, like it might filter out water, or it might divert it, or it might do a bunch of stuff depending on what the actual pipe is. So the usefulness of this is that you can then chain commands together so that the data kind of flows through each of the pipes and eventually transforms into something that you can put into a plot or a table. So if you type out DS and then type out select, now within DS, I think there are, let's see, names DS. Okay. So if you type out names DS, that just tells you what the column names of the data frame are. So I want to, can anybody guess what the select command does? Selects, yeah, it selects columns. Real obvious. See, it's there. It's making you. It's making it easy for you to use it. So selects columns. So in this case, I want to select, let's say, like population or frost. All right. We gotta go.
Yeah, how long are you guys gonna be here?
Probably like 45 minutes.
Another 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. No problem.
Please carry on.
You can always look at the video
Yes, I'll
afterwards.
come back. Thank you.
Yeah. And we can say like area. So and then if you run this, it should spit out just those columns.
And that's something. Why are we doing this in our markdown?
Why are we doing this in our markdown? I'll show you in the very end. That's a good question though. The reason why, yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you. It is really good. Yeah.
Our markdown.
Our markdown. Yeah. I converted her. She can tell you.
How do you do the pipe?
How do you do the pipe? Control Shift N. It's the reason why I think the reason why they chose M as the key binding is that the package that the pipe came from is called Marrute. So M is Frances.
I have error. Could not find function.
Do you have dplyr installed? Let's see.
Oh, I have to put it in the pen.
Okay. So that's select. So that's the first one. And it's pretty obvious what it can do. So like if you have a big data set, you choose the specific variables that you're actually going to want to work with.
Did you choose column?
Yes. So these are the columns. So this is population.
Row.
Oh, rows. You can, but it's, well, I can.
Okay, you say choose from area.
Yep. I was good. So what do you think of these 6 commands? Which one do you think will do that?
Filter.
You got it. Filter. So filter, if we do DS, pipe, filter, and then what did you say? Area. Let's do like area is greater than, like 10,000. If you run that, it'll only choose areas with 100,000. Actually,
This is selecting rows. From a 10th row or from the
yeah,
100 row?
yeah. I can tell you the, like, 1 second. So one of the nice things about being able to use the pipes is that you can filter, so you can chain them together. So you can like choose, I want to only select these variables, and then I want to filter next. So you can then run those, and then you only get areas that are, wait a second, area greater than, that doesn't make sense. Oh, yes, it does. Let's make it 100,000. There we go. So that's subsets. And if you wanted to choose specific rows, yeah, you'd have to use the square brackets. I mean, generally, it's not a really good idea to choose rows directly because like the rows might change position. Like a single observation might be at row 50 one time, but it might, like, maybe if you subset it or a little bit different, all of a sudden like row 50 is no longer that.
And if I wanna choose only the second line of floors,
Yes.
floor variable, I would have to take only the floors to select, and after that, what? Filter
Oh, if you only wanted,
the 15. I want
if you only wanted 15,
yes.
you'd probably do like, yes, select, frost. Oops. Filter frost is equal to 15.
Yes, but I don't know what is here.
It really depends on the. I mean, I can talk to you afterwards about it, but
I would like to see what is in the place of.
is in the place of 15?
Yes, I don't know what is the second line of row is the number 15, but I would like to see what is here.
Of the second row.
Yes.
So if you wanted to choose the second row exactly, you can do 2, comma 2, or no, 2, comma. It's row column. So that would choose everything from the second row. Okay. What's up? Okay, I want you to create a new code chunk again, and then do DS. So we covered select and filter. There's also mutate. Can you guess what mutate does?
It shows up.
What?
A definition shows up. Adds new variables and preserves existing.
Oh, it shows up, yes. So you like change variable or create a new variable. So if you wanted to create a new variable, like pretend like BMI, well, in this case, what would it be? If we wanted to create a new variable, what like new variable do you think we could create from this?
Per area.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, okay.
Or
Pop
you can
per area. Yeah, that's good. So that would be population divided by area. So then that then creates, and we can see, so if we select just the pop area, and then see, that's the population per area. Now, one thing that, so these are like simple examples. And I haven't covered the other stuff yet, but I think I want to show off an example of where this starts to get really powerful is everybody has to make tables, right? Usually like a description table of like your specific, your basic demographics, right? In your manuscript, table 1. You can do that. So like normally, like let's say it's mean and standard deviation. It's usually what is shown. So if we do DS, wait, before we do that, thinking in mind of like the data and like moving it into a format that you can then create into that table, how would we be able to get to that point? Like if we were to like walk through, I'm the driver, so I type, you guys be the navigators. So let's check out the names. We need to like in like usually like table 1s, like in your manuscripts, or like just about like a just description of each of the different variables. So like population, income, like the mean, the standard deviation of them, just to so that like it's like just like table 1, like basic characteristics of the demographic. How would I be able to go from the data using these things, using these commands to be able to then create a table in a single chain? So if you think about like, just think about how, like talk through how you would actually get to that point. In English, you don't have to think about the commands. Just in English, how would you get to that? Let's start off with the first thing. What variables do we want to be what variables do we want to be showing in the table 1? So tell me.
Create a list.
Create a list? But which variables? So of these variables. Would we have state name in as a row of the table though? Because as a header? By the side? At least according to this data set, state name, each row, there's 50 observations, 50 states. So each row represents like the population of that state. So we don't really need that. We have population. Is there anything else we'd want? Income? Okay.
Is there a new variable?
Which?
The new variable that we have created with a new table.
No, it's not there.
And how can we insert it?
You can, you have to put it back into the data set. So you'd have to go like BS this. You have to put the data, the change data back into the, or probably better would be DS2. Yeah. Okay, we'll stick with these. And so we choose those. So those are what we would choose for the data, the rows of the table. I guess I should show you the other two commands. So there's this technique that's kind of known as split, apply, combine. And it's a way of like keeping your data set, splitting up into specific chunks or rearranging it, applying a certain like mean, or if you want to find the mean to it, you find out the mean for each of those chunks and then you bring it back together. So in this case, there's a command that I didn't tell you about that's called gather. And so gather right now, so if we look at this if we look at the data, the data that we have right here, it's in this format, right? It's a row and a column. With values in each of those. But if we want to, this is getting a little bit more complicated than I was thinking. Okay. Okay. So the gather command, this is considered a wide format. Now, if we want to be able to split and then combine and then eventually merge it together, we need to have it in a long format. So gather takes wide and converts to long. So you see how it's like this right now. This is in a wide format. If we use this gather command, then we now will. Oh shoot! Forgot to run that.
So it just kind of like transforms it.
Yes. Let's see if this works. There we go. So now it's in the long format. So there's now two measures. There's the measure, so population and income, and then there's the value. So then now we can then do the splitting and then applying. So there's another command here that's called group by. So because we want to split by measure, we do group by measure. Then we're saying anything that we do after this point, we want to just do it on these, on the population, on the income. And then we pipe it again and we type a summarize. So summarize is kind of like that applying part. So you're saying, okay, based on the grouped variables, I want to create the mean. Maybe mean value. So that you're creating a new variable called mean. So you're applying the mean command to the values, and that will then convert. So if we run that, it now creates the mean for income and the mean for population. We can then pipe that again into there's this one command called tidyr cable. And what that does is it takes everything. Oh, where'd it go? Ugh, did it not show up? That's disappointing. Not quite sure why it didn't show up. That's weird. I'm sorry, peeps. Didn't work. It worked for you? Why did it not work for me? When you do tidyr, when you do this command, tidyr cable, what does it look like?
Oh, okay.
It just looks like a cable.
Okay, it does look like it. Okay, okay. Okay, that's, what's that? It's the same? Okay, well, anyway, I don't know why it's not working for me. So the really powerful thing is with this is that you can then keep like adding, I think, frost, area, life expectancy. And you can just add them all, and then you just have to rerun, and then it creates this mean. If you want to do like, usually it's mean and standard deviation. Okay, well, round. You guess what the round command does? What? Yeah. If we want to also include the standard deviation, and mean SD equals mean SD and then if you want to remove, which one? Oh, the one. So it's round to 1 decimal place. So the really useful thing about using this, like using a chain and like wrangling the data into then the eventual format, is that you don't, so if a reviewer does come along and say, hey, can you like, you know, did you exclude these participants from the data set? Or did you do this, or did you do that? And then all you have to do is update the data set, rerun this command, and then your table is finished for you. You don't have to do any more like copy and pasting. It's all done right there. And this can save like a shit ton of time. Let me know when you're done. Because then you can also not just do for like basic, like just the mean standard deviation, but you can actually split it up so it's mean standard deviation by like a group. Like let's say male, female, or in this case we have regions, so like the different regions. I'll show it in a second.
What's before mean is mean to the letter?
This one?
No.
Oh,
Like,
sorry, where? Here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a minus. The minus means to remove. So with select, you can say, I want to take these variables, but you can also say, I want to take everything but these variables. Does it work for you? The minus? No? Oh, I get it. Seriously? That just because see how it said plus, we're still waiting for you to do stuff because you had sent it with it wasn't. So now if you just click in here and then do Control Shift Enter, it runs the entire within type. Thanks for just that one. So okay. So this part right here, so I created 2 variables, I created the mean, and then I created the standard deviation, so that then I could then combine them together. So I say paste because paste is kind of like saying I want to put these two together so that they look like this. So I'm just saying I'm just having the bracket there. So you're saying I want to put mean together with a bracket with standard deviation and another bracket. So then it ends up looking like this. So like you can put what, yeah, you can, yeah, you can do what would be plus minus. I don't know what the actual character is,
What is the
but
symbol?
you can just add. Which?
We have paste the symbol,
This one? Or wait,
the red one. We have paste, but that is red now.
red?
It seems like 0, but
Red?
which one? Yes.
This one?
Yes.
Oh, it's 0.
But the one inside of it.
It's to differentiate between
Okay.
O, capital O. No, yeah, because I think my font is a little bit different than yours. So we can also, oops, if we create a new code chunk, we're going to do the same thing, except we can copy and paste. No, don't copy and paste. Just write it out. I want you to keep region. We'll just keep population and income for now. And then other measure value minus region. I'll explain what that means in a second. Group by measure region measure. Copy and paste this from up here. It's relevant. I'll explain what these all mean in a second. Okay. Does it work for everybody? Yeah? So does anybody want to try to walk through what's going on? Some of these stuff you don't know. But like, does anybody want to try to take a stab at what's going on? No,
Why sometimes you use mean with the capital M and sometimes you use it in summarize? It says mean and round and mean with small m.
That's a good question. This is a variable. So I'm creating this in the new data set, or in the data set. This is the command.
So if you put the command in capital M, it's not the same.
It wouldn't work,
It won't
yeah. Because R is case sensitive, so if you have like capital M or capital, like all caps or something, it won't run. It'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. But that's a good question. So starting from like here, so we already know what select does. What is gather doing here? Take a stab. What did it do? Let's forget about this one. What does just this do? We have measure and value.
Measure the same one as before.
The only difference is this minus region. So we can ignore that for right now. What does these two? What does the gather do for measure and value?
Measure is a variable.
Yeah.
They're both variables.
Yeah. What does gather do?
We're getting together.
Gather converts it from long to wide, or wide into long. The data set. So it takes it like crosswise and then just puts it all. When you do minus region, so I can show you here.
Long to wide.
What?
Long to wide or wide to long?
Wide to long. So when you're saying gather, you create these two variables, population and the value. But then when you say minus region, you're saying, okay, I want you to convert from wide to long on everything but region. So then the region is excluded in this wide to long.
If you don't type region, you can just type measure and value.
I'll show you. So now you have region and value and the value of the region. But then before it was excluded from that conversion.
Then you don't type
Yeah, it would add it to the measure and the value. Now the reason why I'm excluding it is because I want to be able to subset it. So I'm saying I want to group anything that I do after this point. I want to do it on the region and then on the measure. So if we're making a mean based on the region and the measure, that would be, what would that be? We're finding the population within a region of the mean. So the mean of the population within a region. And then standard deviation, and then again, the mean is S. So then in the end, what you get is the mean and the standard deviation of a region. But there's another command here that I didn't mention before. So spread is the opposite of gather. So what does gather do?
wide.
Yes. So then what does spread do?
Long to wide.
Long to wide. So with spread, so if we want to like show, this is what it looks like before spread, and then after spread is, so you're saying I want to take region, and I want to take the mean standard deviation, and I want to put all of these lengthwise as columns, and then within each is the row. So like you then now have you have a new column called North Central that contains these two. Then you have a new column called Northeast. It has these two values in its column. So then you can use this same kind of principle. This could be like, instead of being like North Central, this could be male, female. This could be weight, BMI, or something like that. And then, so then for your, like this could be like a table 2 for a manuscript or something like that. So it kind of cuts down on the amount of time that you take to. How many of you, I know, Steph, you've written some manuscripts. How many other have written manuscripts before? Or like have gone through the whole like peer review submission, you've done that? Have you had like ever had to like do, like they've asked for you to do something back and then you have to like change your analysis a little bit and then copy and paste stuff back into your.
From the 6 papers, I have 4.
4 of them? And it's a lot of work, right? Like having to, everything has to be changed.
I haven't other 2 submitted, so maybe I will have some fun to go.
More, yeah. Yeah. Have you done the same thing? Yeah. Just,
It's very common.
it's what?
It's very common because from my previous experience, some statistical analysis procedures can have 2 forms or they can be 2 options or 2 opinions. And maybe a review, it's right, it's not wrong, but maybe a reviewer wants something different.
Yep. Exactly. And then you have to do it all over again.
And after that, the distribution will change, and you have to.
Yeah. So if you do Control Shift K, see if this works. Yay, it does. Okay. So Control Shift K, or you can just click this knit button at the top. And what that'll do is it'll create this new viewer thing. Let's get it out. Oh no. So the really nice thing about R Markdown is that you can convert it into like a Word document or an HTML document, and you get something like this. So this is the HTML document. Where's the tables? There. So you get a table that kind of looks like this from the code. And if you didn't want the code, you don't have to include the code. Let's do it into a HTML Word document. That's common, unfortunately. Actually, if you type out echo equals false. If you go to the very top of the file and then change output and then change it to Word document and then change echo to false, what that'll do is it'll prevent the code from being printed into the output document. So then it's just straight tables and stuff. So if you run that, so you now have, oh, that's ugly. A little space between. So then you now have like table 1. It doesn't show up very well on mine, but
Write that before
which?
table 1. You write it before
for the chunk? Where they go?
So this is just a header. There is a way to insert, actually, hold on. I think there's actually a command here. So if you do caption, I think there's caption. Yes, there is caption. So this is table 1. Or no, I don't think you have to say that. Let's see. Graphics. I don't know if this works. Let me check if it works first. Oh yeah, it does. Woo, yeah. There we go. If you put in like in the cable, the knitter cable, and type out caption equals and then type out your caption, it'll create a caption for that table, which is pretty nice. I don't know why it does this. Does it look as bad on yours, on everybody else's? Mine looks uglier. There we go, it's better. Then you now have, oh here, let's do this one too.
Can you show again the?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, one second. There we go, that's better. Sorry, this is a lot.
Is it very close to the table? They one table and then.
Yeah, so if you do, what if you do for both tables, if you put in caption for both? Did you put a caption for both? Let's see. Characteristics. Yeah, it should separate it now. Not as much, but you can even do this for figures. So you can wrangle the data and then put it into like a format that suits the figures. I don't know if I should do that. Does anybody have any questions?
Is this code available online?
I will put it on that.
The blog?
Yes. I think I say this like every time, but these are only 1 hour little sessions or so. So I can only show so much. So I try to show stuff that's kind of like interesting or useful. But it takes a lot of work to like, it's like learning another foreign language. It takes time to learn how to speak it. And it's the same thing with coding. It's like, it's just another language that just takes some time to learn. One resource that I recommend is R4DS. If you Google If you Google R4DS Hadley, there's a book called R for Data Science. And it kind of goes through a lot of the stuff that I often talk about. The guy Hadley Wickham is he created like the dplyr package. He's created a lot of packages, and this book is actually really good because it kind of goes through how you first start doing data analysis, like it goes through in a really nice and simple way. It assumes you don't know anything, and it just walks you through. Well, it assumes you know, like, not a lot, nothing. So obviously, how would you be able to use your computer if you knew that? So I would strongly recommend looking through it. It's pretty easy read, and it's all, like I said, it's free. And they talk about a lot of the stuff that I talk about too. What?
This is kind of going back to the last note that we were doing with having the caption.
Yeah.
I keep getting an error that says the continuous zero like variable name.
I think I know what's wrong. So you have to Control Shift into your code. So the difference was you were just running the single line, but you need to run the entire line, because it's expected. Like, yeah. Yeah. I want to show how to do a heat map, like a correlation heat map, because I think it's it's a pretty useful way of, because it combines the doing the wrangling and then converting, like using like correlations, for example, and then putting it into a visualization format. I think it's like kind of a cool thing to show, because it's like fairly easy and kind of shows the power that you can use from using these techniques. Let me just see. I just can't remember what the code was. Okay. Yes. Did you tidyverse? Is that what you said? Tidyverse? Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So there's a package called tidyverse that you can install if you want. It itself doesn't really do anything, but it has all the other packages like dplyr. It has like plotting. It has, so the guy that I mentioned, Hadley Wickham, the guy who wrote this book, and he has a whole bunch of other stuff. He kind of has been developing like this concept of like a tidyverse. So like everything is in the same sort of universe. You use all these packages to be able to get to do analysis. And so he calls them tidyverse. And so when you run library tidyverse, it brings in everything that you would use for doing data analysis. So it's pretty useful. You can just include the single line and then you're done.
It says here that conflicts with tidyr package, dplyr.
Which one?
dplyr.
Conflicts with which package?
dplyr.
Oh, it does? Yeah. It's just saying, so this is just saying that that there's conflicts, but it's not anything to really worry about at this point. Yeah. Okay, so if we go DS, I'm going to type it out quick, and then you can. So to get correlations, you just do core. That's a statistical command. I think you might need Sorry. Sorry. Just trying to remember. I'll explain all of this in a second. Is everybody finished? Almost? So, okay. You'll have to install a tidyr. If it doesn't work, then just do vibrate ggplot2. You have to install ggplot2. So in the package, you have to install the package. But if you have the code, you've got the code written out. So what I'm doing here is selecting the specific variables that I want to look at the correlation, and then using the correlation command to run like a correlation on each of the values. So that's what you get here. So it's like a correlation of population. Population is 1, obviously, because that's a 1-to-1 ratio. Income and so on. I just noticed this frost. So if there's more frost, there's lower population. Because that explains why nobody read those I can. But because this is in, so this isn't in a data frame, right? This is in, it's called a matrix. So because dplyr uses data frame rather than a matrix like this, I have to convert to a data frame. So that's why I do as data frame. These are like small things that you just pick up as you learn about how to use R. And I wouldn't expect you to know this beforehand, but I wanted to just show how you use like this kind of wrangling to then get a figure or something. So convert that into a data frame. And then because when you convert this is considered row names. It's not an actual column. You use this command called row names to column. So it takes row names and it makes it as a column. So I'll show you what I mean. So if you go like this, see here on the side, it says, so there's only like 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. This one isn't considered a column because it's like a row name, which is really it's really frustrating to work with because like you can't do anything if that's like, if it's not part of the data set. It's just like this like floating thing. It's really weird. So that's why you have to then do row names to column, because then it converts it into a column. The next part is I'm just renaming the row name. So rename row name to var1. And then gather is again taking it from a long format. Sorry, I have to say that. The wide format, convert it into a long format. Oops. So you now have var1, var2, and then the correlation. Now, I'm going to be creating a heat map, and so the heat map is composed of like the x axis and the y axis of each of the var1 and var2, with the inside of the heat map being the values, right? So then I say the y axis would be var1, the x axis would be var2, and then the inside will be the correlation. So geom_tile is the command that you use for making heat maps. So then if you eventually run this, goodness. So AES just means like aesthetic. So it means what do you want the plot to be made of? So like it's just asking what the y-axis is, what the x-axis is, what's inside, what's the groups. It's just like the standard things that you include in. I don't know why it's called aesthetics. It's just called aesthetics. So you just have to include that to be able to say, hey, add these as the y-axis and the x-axis. And then you can then you've created a heat map fairly easily. I mean, it takes a lot of work to be able to know how to get to that point. If you do want to see how to make plots, I think there's a video of it online that Gila did. So she did a little walkthrough of how to create plots. So I'm not going to go into too much detail because that was already done 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was two weeks ago. But you can look online. What?
Is her video on YouTube or on your website?
Yeah, on the website. So that was a lot. Last thing. You knit this, so knit. It inserts the figure for you into the Word document. So if you do change anything, like if you do change the data at all, automatically the figure gets updated. And that's kind of like the usefulness of using wrangling and piping, is that you just kind of take the data as is and then do all the changes and then make a table or figure from it without doing anything else. You just go. It's like a single. Okay, I'm tired. Yeah. If you have any questions, you can always email me. Everybody looks tired.
We're taking it all in.
Yeah, no, totally.
Do I have